we are. Good evening, everyone. We welcome you all under the name of our higher power God. So we acknowledge the power of God, and especially personally, I believe that God gave this opportunity to share what I have gone through, what I have learned, and then how we can utilize that for a wonderful reason. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this wonderful world where we are standing and staying and calling our home, Australia. And I believe that, especially the mothers and aunts of this nation, gave us many different values through their life. And that's why I am so grateful to all the past, present, and emerging elders, mothers, and aunties of this country. We celebrate the rich diversity of our community and stand firmly against all forms of discrimination. We're partnering with different people, including Rotary Club. So you may be thinking that who we are and why we are doing under the banner She Rise. We have some vision. If you do not know me, my name is bismipalatty. I am a mother of three wonderful boys. At the moment, they are at the church doing their youth programs. I'm a single mother for the last 13 years. It's not by choice. It was because I had to rescue my boys from foster care. So the only option that I had was to run out of the family home with whatever I can grab in a car, and started my life with zero money or nothing inside the house. But I truly believe that that's the day, maybe the first day I slept peacefully in a house with my three boys. The society or community, even my family, sees it in different ways, but myself and my kids understand the value of peace over price. So that's why I connected myself through a different journey. But in middle of my journey, I met a wonderful mentor who actually connected through my close family friends. That friend, that mentor is my friend now, I would say. We partnered a lot with the different things. She actually helped me to understand what I was going through and how I can come out of that trauma, visible and invisible trauma. And I'm so grateful that she is here to answer all the questions from the audience and from ourselves as well. So I think in last August, during one of the network event, I met this wonderful heart, Komala. She is she introduced herself as a palliative care nurse for the NTIS, and somehow we had a coffee catch up at Starbucks after that, and then we shared our story, my story of this, I would say, like, beautiful life with my boys and what happened. And then she was sharing her mom's story, her sister's story, and somehow we connected. I had a major trauma or bullying at my workplace in November, and I was admitted to the hospital with high blood pressure and having a second cerebral aneurysm in my brain. That took me around 3 months to recover. That 3 month was my painful days where Komala looked after me and told me that you need to make this pain to help other people. I know that I was helping people in different ways, but I didn't think about having a foundation and make it as a real impact. And that's where we both came up together for this wonderful foundation. I invite Komala to share why you are with me or why we are doing this wonderful vision.
Thank you, Bismi. Good evening, everybody. I'm really grateful again. I always say that because people just don't come together for a coffee catch up. There's always a reason behind it why you come and meet somebody at the right time at the right place, and then that's when everything began. It's just a little conversation I had with Bismi. Like my background, she already explained that palliative, but then however, that's who I am as a nurse for over 15 years now. And I am a mother for two girls. Yes, I have a very supportive husband. In Bismi's case, she is doing everything herself, but then we see two different um, living, how you live your life. And then when you come together, it's all about education. To me, I put health first. Everything else come together when you actually focus on your self-care and how you can actually educate and empower a girl or a woman in a house. And then when I shared with Bismi, look, you are doing everything behind scenes. I am there out there in community doing all the palliative care, education, quality of life versus everything else that's happening in individual. However, why can't we come just together and do something that's really impactful? The foundation, the reason why we have foundation is a foundation that's built stronger for a little girl who is going to be entering her teenage and then she's going to be an adult. And then that's how we build foundation. There are foundations that we have to build from families where the children come from a trauma. We need to identify that. Without identifying that trauma, or recovery, how can you actually expect an adult to function 100% in the later stage when people just tag them, oh, she's always depressed, she's always upset, she this, he this, that child is like this, but then they don't look at the underlying cause. And that was the sole purpose of coming up with this She Rise Foundation, because we want to educate people. It's not just women. We want to educate from a younger child, like at schools, in community, men who are really supporting women out there to educate themselves, being independent. We want everybody to get involved. And then how can we actually make a better community? How can we stand up together for each other? How can we support each other? And that's the main purpose. Yes, I do talk a lot about healthcare. The reason is the wealth that you create, there is no value to it when you are going to deteriorate with your health, because the trauma brings everything else in your body, all the hormonal changes, all the cortisols, and all the stress hormones will trigger diseases, conditions. And with palliative, one thing I have learned, it's very important. Quality life is really, really important, regardless of what you do. And that's the sole purpose of She Rise Foundation. Thank you, Vismi. And let's take it
Yeah,
from here.
so yeah, no, that's what exactly that we did. And I would acknowledge Komala. Komala lost her sister recently, and then and again, because of family violence, I would say, and maybe and he didn't have family violence. And that's what she mentioned, that she can connect a lot with people who are having this unseen violence happening in their life. And that's the reason why we picked up this topic for this month. And as we mentioned for our Shiras, we have this wonderful mission, two hearts, one mission. But at the same time, we believe that when we educate a woman, we are educating a generation. So that's the reason Shiraz is giving education to the women. That doesn't mean that we are not connecting with men or boys or the allies or other LGBTQI. Yes, we do. But we concentrating this year educating women, and we know that that will help us to educate or change the whole generation. So we have seven pillars for She Rise. We do have three core values, which is educate, encourage, and emerge. Can you share what is our seven pillars, Komala?
Yes. So, our seven pillars. So, we start always with rise, recovery, and resilience. Why? If you don't recover the resilience you have built, you can never grow that strength. Because it's really important that we have workshops around trauma informed, guiding women from adversity to strength. It's very, very important. Something that we don't identify on a regular basis is how is that hidden trauma impacting her day to day life, because it's always not seen, because it's always unseen by people. People say, oh, she's smiling, she's always on social media, how can she be in any sort of trauma? It's hard to believe because they judge by your looks, your social media profile, and how you present yourself. But that's something we want to make sure we give a safe space for people to recover. The second thing is financial wellness. It's really important for people to be aware how healthy are they financially, because we do health check. We forget about financial check sometimes because It goes hands in hand. Your financial has a major impact on your actual health and well-being, because if you can't afford a therapy, if you can't afford a better diet like nutritional food or any kind of self-care, that's an impact on your overall health. Financial is really, really important. We need to balance it. How do we balance? It's through education. Again, conducting the seminars and making sure we bring expertise under Shiraz to educate women and children, or everybody in a family, to be aware how important it is to I think it's more about an insight. Always have a look at your financial well-being. How is that affecting your health? Because people may just forget, oh, I'm stressed, but why are you stressed? It's obviously the financial side of it that's stressing you out every day. Talk to somebody, get some help. If you don't ask, you don't get it. So that's something we are trying to achieve. And culture and community health, because we want to make sure we are out there encouraging community to get inclusive in their well-being and be visible and network with people, try and understand who is out there who can actually be approachable to get me some help. So that's something we do. And we also have our pillars, the global voice. Disney is wonderful. We always help women speak up and then encourage them with their voice and leadership. She's an amazing leadership and resilience coach. So she has a lot of insight and experience in that area. Also, youth mentorship circle. We want to bring young girls and boys, make them understand they're not alone. They don't have to do it alone. There's somebody who can actually support them. They just need to come out of that comfort zone, and we just need to make sure we give them a space which is safe. So mind matters is another pillar where we focus on mental health. Again, I always emphasize trauma because it's something that is always hidden. So trauma is never identified until it's a late, well, sometimes it's just like in late adulthood, they just say, oh, she had childhood trauma. Why was the childhood trauma left for so long? Why was that not identified when the mom or dad separated or something happened in that family? Maybe sometimes it just looks a normal family, but it's identified later in this adulthood, saying her childhood was really traumatic because the family was going through so much, but it was all hidden. Nobody supported her, looked at her emotions. And we do make sure we refer them to the proper resources and expertise to get some advice and help. And the She Rise voice is all about advocating women's right and well-being. So that's our pillar. So they
Yeah,
are our
so
pillars.
So we are really interested to share our voices to the legal authorities. We are connecting to all the council mayors, all the councillors, all the Liberal and Labour Party people, political heads, because we know that whatever we need to change political, like in our parliament, we needed that political connection. So that's actually happening in parallel to understand the policies and procedure. I personally putting in myself into the study with the research along with the Federation University. So the academics are really helpful for us to give us the vignettes and then figuring out what is happening inside the houses of all these family violence victims and survivors. So we are in a good space to raise our voice through She Rise because we have real good cases and then our testimonies and even like different legal helps that we are doing at the moment is really really important and connecting with global people. I can see people connecting from Gulf countries and India and all different areas. So thank you again. So we'll go to the next slide and then see what we can do because you saw these 7 pillars today. Why we are doing is part of our rise recovery and resilience program. Our first pillar. So this series is mainly for that pillar for the She Rise. I am a certified first family violence first respondent and Maram framework person. So that and I'm a community worker under this area. I am part of our Wyndham Council family violence networking team as well. So to me, I can look at this from a first respondent perspective. MARAM is the framework that Australia agreed to respond and work together with the perpetrators, survivors, and victims, and police, whoever helping into all this multicultural world. So if you do not know Maram very well, I would encourage you to look at the website, but I would say mainly looking at the Maram framework. I'm looking at this responsibilities of four of them. Recently, we have different changes. So I would be sharing those links in the chat, and I highly recommend you look at that Maram video series because that video series are really informative and telling why or how we need to report and how you can feel the difference between the normal activities and then family violence areas. So, in the MARAM framework, as a first responder, myself and Shiraz will be looking at these three responsibilities. So, first of all, engaging and identifying. And if we know that somebody is going through the family violence, not from that directly, but through from other people, our responsibility is to engage and then figure out whether there is real violence is going there. But we will not act on behalf of them until they're ready to say yes to that because it's even if it is going through the family violence, it's that adult's responsibility to say yes, I'm going through the tough time and then I need help. So that's what we do, that engagement and identification only through their agreement. Otherwise, we will say that, yes, we understand that, but you need to say yes. That's our responsibility, number one. And I would say the second one is consultations and referrals. For example, we had a call the other day. She married for 2 years. They invested their money into a family home. Once their home is done, the husband want to check the wife off. So she called me and then we had a conference call with herself, myself, and Komala, and then we checked what exactly happening and how we can help that person. So we gave them opinions and suggestions, and from our cases that we already helped, we consult that, and then we referred to different parties. For example, she had to go through the orange door. He has to go to the legal aid to figure out who is actually going to help her and then find out some job, things like that. That's our second responsibility. So it's consultation and referral. And third one is more of like information sharing. It's more of like, I would say, in Mara, the more information sharing is that if I am the caseworker, I am the first respondent, I got all different information, personal and sensitive information. We will have a verbal or written or informed consent from the people, then only we will share the information. But I would say in this case, more of like information sharing is we will tell them this is what going to help. This is what you need to say so that if you go to Orange Door, these are the information that you need to share with them so that they can systematically help you with the safety net and then whatever the violence that they are going through. So we are not an officially agreed of organization to help them, but because I can help in my capacity, but we will not really do any informed sharing to any parties other than we clearly know that this person's life is at risk. So that is everybody's responsibility, including you as a mother, as a teacher, or any professional, especially in the health sector, teaching sector, in police sector. If you are in that sectors, and if you are in Australia, it is your responsibility that if you know that someone's life is really at risk, you don't need to ask permission. If that person is going to die because of the perpetrator, it is your responsibility and duty of care that you need to really notify that. If that type of case comes in as an individual, as a like an Australian citizen, yes, we may notify that to the right party. So I just want to share that information here, and I will be sharing those links for you in the chat shortly. So that's what bit of like a Mara. Maybe if you think, Elizabeth, you may not know about Mara because it's mainly in Australia, but it's really good to know what are the different frameworks and how Australia is handling this family violence and what is happening. So I think if you're in a corporate world or if in a teaching world, you always see this, right? So always we can see that this is an iceberg. Everything, whatever we are seeing outside your life, outside your body, it's just an iceberg. Your whole root cases is under. That's the same with our violence, and you can clearly say that. And I would say it's very unfortunate situation, not just in Australia and around the world, that only 20 percentage of cases are reporting. The rest of 80 percentage, I would say half of them thinking that that's my life it is. I can't really do anything because my parents did that same thing, or traditionally we have to go through that, or that's my religious belief. I have to go for it because then only I will get the best life in my next life, or that's my submissive mindset or my sacrifice to achieve my heaven in the other life. So that 80 percentage of unseen violence is what my pain, because I was there in that unseen for 18 years. From the day of my first night, I didn't know that it was family violence or it was gaslighting or it was real bullying. I thought that that's what wives should behave. That's what the Indian husband should say. That's what the Indian mother-in-laws should say. And that's the common language that Indian sister-in-laws used to say. I didn't know that. So why that most violence remain unseen? That's a thought for you if you are hearing us today. You may be one of this person thinking that this is not a violence, it's just a pattern. Have to adjust because every people have different personality. Yes, personalities are different. You may need to make adjustments. I would say a happy life is always adjustment and accommodating the other person's personality, but that's not the case here. If you feel that that is violence, you do not need to accommodate or adjust. You can make things happen or you can make things change. I know that you can't change the whole world by yourself, but you can change your own world by yourself. But you need to educate yourself and you need to know where is that red flags and why that's happening. So if you can see that 1 in 4 in Australian women actually experiencing intimate partner violence. I'm actually putting here only talking about women, but thinking about kids and men and grandpas or in-laws, the numbers are really huge. But again, the same story comes here that 80 percentage of gap, people are not reporting that. For example, when my parents were here for my triplets pregnancy and looking after my elder one, they had family violence from my husband. They were actually locked up in the room. They didn't get their breakfast. They didn't even get allowed to see me when at that time I was in hospital. Who actually reported that? So there were two victims inside that family, not two, three victim. I always forget my son is a victim, but in my case, my parents were the real victim during like that 10 weeks of staying here in Australia. And no one is going to report that. And in any of this history of, I would say, the Victorian police, it is very rare case that the case actually gone to the legal aid or to the police that the perpetrator actually did the violence to the in-laws or other parties. But these days, in last 2 to 3 years, there is the intervention order against the family members, against the people in India or other countries. So, which is a good sign, but I would still say that 1 in 4 numbers is like least numbers that we can see but from the ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics. The women report emotional abuse is always going to the shadows. They will say that Yes, this is prenatal, or this is postnatal, or this is menopause, menopause, and then you have lots of different names if women is emotionally going down and up. But if men is going through different tantrum, it will be because of the stress at the workplace, the money that they trying to bring back to the family. So it's a different reasoning. But again, 2.3 million are emotionally abused, and it's always going unseen. And every year there is bit of like an increase. It's saying as it's a 8% increase. And think about it, how many of them are not actually reporting this? So the real like essence of this slide is that when you hear that, okay, this person got an intervention order, and then this person is going out of that family, you should think that out of like, there is another 10 going through the same, but nobody is reporting that. So if you know anybody who is going through this tough time, tell them there is an option that you can live peacefully. We are not saying that you need to separate or divorce. You can still live peacefully, staying together, and speak up and say that I have a right here because I'm living in Australia. Let's go to the next slide. I'm so keen to find out, how how you define the family violence. If you can put that in your chat, can you tell me some examples of family violence that you experienced, or you experienced not in your life, but hearing by listening, by reading through the news? What do you think about family violence? Or you can even like, unmute and tell us like, what do you mean by family violence? Any idea? Anybody? You can put it in the chat if you don't want to. Otherwise, what do you think? Is that hitting a family violence? If you want to raise your hands, is that hitting husband and wife is a family violence or not? If they are not giving you the right amount of money for your normal activities, is that a family violence?
Of course.
Of course. Thank you, Devi. Yes. If they are telling that you don't need to go for this particular party or women's party happening there, is that a family violence, or because they love you very much?
Nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah. And if they think that, look, you look pretty on this dress, but you don't need to wear for this party, you can wear it later. Is that because they're really obsessive or possessive about you and love you and think that other people may make some comment, or is that a family violence? Yeah. And if you think that, like, if you are really happy in a party and then maybe dancing with your friends, he's coming and saying that I'm not well, I need to go home. And then you are going home, but at home he is very happy and active. Is that a form of family violence? I would say yes. And why I'm saying all these things? Because I experienced all these things and I thought my husband loves me like anything because he doesn't want anybody hurt me because he thinks that other people will come and make issues to me. And then I was thinking that he is saving me. So that's what I want to share here. You may be thinking that hitting or like, beating or like, abusing or maybe raping you on your bedroom, those things are just the family violence, but it is not just. If you or your husband beat you and then bruises are there and you can see that you have a broken arm or broken nose or broken something, yeah, that is a violence. That's a physical violence. Physical violence is just part of family violence. So that's what I really want you to think about it. And I know that you may be knowing all these words now because in the social media, this is happening a lot. Coercive control, gaslighting, and financial abuse. And I just want you to think maybe like in a 1 or 2 seconds in your mind, if you are sitting now in your house, do you have any thought of like, stress or what will happen if, if you are thinking about a family, what will happen if I'm watching or listening to this family violence seminar? will he or will the husband or partner going to get upset because I'm knowing or understanding or educating myself about the family violence? If you have any type of that thoughts coming up in your mind, I would say that you are on eggshells and you are on a cohesive control partnership, because you do not have that freedom, that the thing that you would love to do as an individual, and then someone's mindset or control is allowing or not allowing to do it. So there are different ways of like in abusing you in different way that can be like controlling your social media platform, controlling your phone usage, controlling your bank account, controlling your debt, and then generating debt. Like you can't do anything outside other than the general food because they are having lots of debt, maybe supporting their family back in India or back in other countries, or going to different things, maybe alcoholism or gambling, but they are actually making some debt so that you will not have a peaceful life. That can be an intentional financial abuse without you knowing that. And again, you may or may not experienced all this gaslighting and all other areas of unseen bruises in your life. I would love love to give back to Komala and then give a bit more understanding on this area, Komala. Do you want to go a bit more about it?
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Bismi. And I would like to just say one thing because as a nurse, I have seen firsthand when people come, and first thing we do is head to toe check any patient we admit when they come to on board to hospital or aged care. First signs we look at is the emotional side, their behavior, their body language. When we do a skin check, that's something we notice deeply because any sort of bruises, for example, cuts, they can be natural, but then sometimes, most of the time, it is an abuse that's happened, and they don't want to actually admit that. They don't want to actually tell us what's exactly happened behind the walls, and that's something see all the time. And it's all prolonged exposure triggers. And it's always related to chronic stress that leads to systemic inflammation. And why do they come in? Because when they come in with a chronic illness or they have been diagnosed newly with any sort of diabetes or cancer or hypertension, there's always an underlying cause. There's a reason why there's so much of inflammation in your body that has triggered all this imbalance and generated all these hormones, and it's actually attacking your own system. It's not just a healthy person gets a cancer. No, there's always a reason behind it. It's a biological reason. Any kind of cardiovascular, heart diseases, cardiovascular, it's huge because there's so much stress. It's not just women, it's around men as well. They just die at young age because there's so much pressure. There's abuse happening at workplace. Maybe they just have a partner who is not really understanding what they're going through. It can happen either way. It could be men or women. So all these things really, really matter when it comes to looking at awareness, building that education around domestic violence, because it's not just that physical abuse that you see. There is a lot happening inside body. There's a huge impact that's actually creating more and more risk as you age. That's where it all comes out because you've been diagnosed newly with this. It just didn't happen overnight. It's a long standing condition that's actually built
Generational.
slowly.
Yeah. It's a
Generational. Yeah,
yes.
because it's like mom has dealt with the trauma, she's been through abuse, and she hands that's passed to the daughter, and then daughter passed to her daughter. It's just there is nothing that can break that cycle unless there is awareness that's built. There's education around it. How can I not pass this to my kids? That's where you break the cycle. And it's really important. And again, we see a lot of people with diabetes type 2 diagnosed at the latest stage. Why? Because there is something that has triggered for their hormones to be imbalanced. And obviously the pancreas are not functioning because when you're stressed, your pancreas don't function. Unfortunately, that's the reality. And people don't look at all this psychosocial impact. It's always seen as a medical problem. Oh, you gained weight. You didn't actually eat the right food. Or maybe it's just a genetic. It's because your parents have diabetes. Yes, I understand. But then why it's happening when I'm a 40 or 50 years old? Why didn't this happen at the earliest stage? We do have kids with type 1 diabetes. There's other autoimmune conditions. Why it's always comes back to you when you're in late 40s or 50s sometimes. So, yeah, there's a lack of understanding around the trauma that's unseen again and how it can manifest physically. So,
Yeah,
this is Bismi
that's
will take over from here.
yeah, I just want to put my story here. I always love to share the story. And the generational trauma slide is coming up, Elizabeth, and I would love you to share how did you pick my generational trauma. But before that, I would love to share this invisible victims. That's my favorite parts. So if you do not know me, I think some people may be listening to me first time. I do have three boys, and I lost one girl. Her name is Joy. I believe that she was a girl, but anyway, she was part of my triplets, and then I lost as part of my journey. So the reason that I always say that yes, we can see that there is more than that voices. There is more than beating or financial abuse or gaslighting. Or coercive control. Those ones I would say it's normal, and then everybody knows about it. And that's the reason we didn't spend too much time on it because it's everywhere. Everyone knows that there is coercive control and what is financial abuse. And I don't have a card, it's abuse. I don't have this any. So I really don't want to spend too much over there. I know that I have gone through all those things because 26 years ago, when I got married, I didn't know any of these things. I thought it's everything is part of traditional Indian families that we have to be very submissive and then, you know, do everything for husband, whatever he asked you to do, not just on the bed, but everywhere. Then I took a lot of time to understand that's not what it is. But here I really want you to think about your own kids if you have, or if you do not have kids, I want you to think about your family. Because if you are going through the family violence or any type of abuse, you are not the only victim. There are first hand victim, there are second hand and flow on effect are there for generations. And as Komala and Elizabeth mentioned before, whatever you are experiencing now from your partner, it's not because of him only. What I'm saying that only, like if you're an adult, you should take the responsibility of all the actions that you are doing. But there are some actions that they can't really control because that is actually coming out of the trauma from generations that didn't treat well and it was unseen. When they were kids, they were victims of the trauma. And that's what I'm bringing here. I didn't have kids for 9 years. But on my first night, my husband told me that what he wanted is to have a baby boy in 9 months' time. Back in India, and if you are from India, I can see Mridula and Tinsi all from my hometown, they and Rachel as well. The first thing that everybody, including your in-laws and father or mother and cousins are asking is like, are you pregnant? Because that's a job to get pregnant right after the marriage in India. And I am still actually sharing this with other communities like African, Macedonian, and even in English community, they mentioned that even though it's like a very strict, but there is an expectation that you have to become a mother. Otherwise, you need to, proclaim that we are not looking for kids for another 3 years or 4 years, something like that. Coming back to my story, when I got married, before the marriage itself, I mentioned that I have issues with my endometriosis and then I may not get babies. And they were okay with that. But first night, what I heard, this is what I got from my husband that I need to produce or give a baby boy. It's very specific, not a girl, boy. So not the point. So what happened is that I didn't have babies. We moved to Dubai for a couple of years, and then we got Australian visa, so we had to move here in 2000. Going here and there, I still vaguely remember that I had a miscarriage or a whatever the bleeding in Dubai. We couldn't define whether it was pregnancy, but I had a DNC over there in Dubai and came here in Australia. At that time in 2000, I was having my teacher's degree. I would say it's not the degree, it's a degree just allowed us to teach only in Kerala for the primary kids. And I couldn't teach here with that qualification. So I had to do something else. And at that time, IT was booming, and everybody asked me to go back and study something in computer. So that's why I went back in 2000 to India to do my master's. And I used to come every 6 months during my school study leave. And then I would say I was officially raped during all those times to get babies. But anyway, those 3 years I tried a lot. I had around 6 or 7 DNCs during that 3 years as part of this mechanical process to become a mother. Unfortunately, I didn't get any baby. I came back here in 2003. I gone through the infertility treatment. My family was not ready for IVF because of highly orthodox religious belief. We went through the IUI. So I'm not sure whether you know about IUI. When you do the IUI, they will inject, or I need to inject the medication to get my ovulation or my eggs going up. And they will scan and tell that, okay, your eggs are ready, do the job, get the baby. So I gone through that IUI process for a long time. Shortcutting my story. Ninth year, the doctors told that you are getting really sick. You got fatty liver, you are getting obese, your weight is really bad, your bones are getting bad. It's better. This is your last cycle. You can't really do any more treatment. At that time, I didn't know that these type of treatments are there in the public sector. I was going through the private sector. I think we spend almost 45 to 50,000 dollars for these treatments. The last cycle, I did my pregnancy test at that time after my master's, passing out of the university with the first rank. I didn't get any job here. I had to work in the bakery as a helper. And before going to the work, I did my test, and pregnancy test was positive. And that's where I become mother. And after 9 years, I got a baby boy. That's the wonderful boy, Joel, miracle boy, smiling at them. He was not like that with the half white and half black. He became like that because he is an invisible victim of the family violence. All these 9 years, because I couldn't have a baby, my husband took alcohol as a remedy, and then we were having lots of trouble, having different issues like, doubting your wife or doing whatever the way that Indian husbands can mess the life around. And this wonderful boy came over, beautifully and wonderfully created. He was so beautiful and handsome. But with that 6 or 7 years of his childhood, we were fighting like anything. I was fighting for my job. I was focusing on my career, going to different levels of my IT career. But at the same time, his career was on the same level, and that actually allowed him to abuse me because of the financial imbalance between husband and wife. And I didn't know that he was suffering through that violence. And that's the story I want to share. I thought that my son was very fortunate and very lucky because we were having everything financially. We were having more than 2 or 3 houses. We have wonderful car. We were having all these parties, alcohol, all the celebrations. But I didn't know that violence happening in the house is actually impacting my son. He was not talking. He was putting everything inside his body and mind, and he was not talking. He was putting everything into his own way of, silent burdening themselves inside. Anyway, he told me like when he was 6 years old or something that he wanted a little sister. And that's what I thought. Yes, I have enough money. I have enough control on myself. Why should I try again? I know what the treatment will work for me. So I tried again, but it took another in a real couple of years time to get my babies, and I got a news that I got triplets, and my son was really happy. Then he was saying that I got three girls, three sisters and all. And anyway, again during that pregnancy in 22 weeks time, I lost my triplet, one of the triplets, and I had to go to the hospital. So that time he was 6.5 years old, and my husband was working night shift, and there was no one to look after him. That's why my parents came here. So I was in the hospital. My parents were here. That is the another invisible victim that I need to share. And that's the 10 weeks that I was in the hospital. He was actually revenging to my parents because I was not obeying or not doing what he was supposed to do. So that really impacted my son, because my son is seeing that his dad is verbally and physically, emotionally abusing grandpa and grandma, and there is no respect there. And then he can't understand what is the system here as a family. Lots of confusion in his mind. The mental health and social life for him was also going really low. So anyway, kids were born with lots of issues. One of my twins got cerebral palsy. He was diagnosed with the Down syndrome, and my husband wanted to abort him, but I forced myself. I was so arrogant, and I said, no, it's my money, my kid, my body. I will look after. That's how Jace was born with no Down syndrome, but he had cerebral palsy. So he gone through different surgeries and different issues, but at the same time, another invisible victim was my other twin. His placenta was infected because of the family violence we had during my pregnancy. He got CPAP during his delivery, and he is a highly asthmatic individual, and he needs to carry his EpiPen all the time and asthma pump as well because of his issues. And I would say that that's an invisible victim of family violence. So looking at these three boys, even though they are happy, they are smiling, their mental health is not that really good. Their social life is not good. Many people are not ready to accept them as a community because his mother is a single mother. His mother is not obeying their husband. So I would say if you look at these three different areas of development trauma, mental health and social life, and the silent burden, we are creating a generation where they do not trust the family. They do not trust the act of marriage, and they do not want to get belonging to other people. They do not talk to other family members because they don't really get that trust from their real father and mother. And I was asking today, right after our church session, because my elder one turned 20 years last month, 30th. All these years, he didn't have any connections from his dad. He didn't have any single wish for his birthdays. And we were having the conversation. What will be that dad's mind towards these boys? Is he really loving him, or is he want that particular connection between that dad and the kids? Do you think that that is a real punishment because of this family violence? So I will call that connectivity, that missing that fatherhood is another victim, whatever happening in their life because of that invisible victim. This is my story. But if you look at the millions of stories just in Victoria, there are many kids are going through different mechanism to cope this stress. And I can see that the digital world is helping them with the different things. And I can see that to get their dopamine level up, they are going to different ways, especially through the porns. They're watching animes, but they are injecting lots of things. Why the government is putting the laws to the YouTube and other rating for our kids, even though we have this rating and all. I think the behavioral shift they are having because of this becoming that invisible victim. As a human being, they need to find out some coping mechanism, and that's where they're becoming addicted to different things. My elder one is addicted to food. He needs meat to make him happy because that's how he tried himself when we were going through the family violence. And the twins is addicted to the TV, and then we have to really watch them because they feel like, there is something that giving them to their brain to have that short-term survival and pleasure. But what we are seeing here, all these invisible victims are losing their life, and we are losing a generation because of this family violence. Or maybe we are not thinking about this wonderful human being inside your family, inside your four walls while you are fighting. I feel like, really I'm regretting about that. I'm feeling guilty that I didn't think about my son while I was going through this stress. But that's what I am trying myself now, along with Komala, to educate. If you are having trouble between you and your husband or you and your partner, it's an adult issue. You should not engage kids in there. You need to have that boundary, and then you need to act as an organization. You can be a general manager and the director, but your conversation should be in private, not along with our kids. That's what I learned from my own life. But if we go to the next slide, I really want to find out what's the intergenerational grip, and that's where I want Elizabeth to give some insight into it, because I can see that my grandma had this family violence, but it was more of like alcoholism, and she left her husband after the third pregnancy. And my mom took a oath, or like, wow, that she wants to keep the family together because she didn't have a father figure in her life. Even though she was having violence from their mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, name it, and from husband who is alcoholist, but again helping her a lot. She decided that she is not going to talk it out. She decided that I am going to keep it because I want a father for my kids. But she didn't think that that life will impact their kids seeing that violent or alcoholic father. That's where I want you to come, Elizabeth. How we can make this grip, like in an intergenerational grip, it's there already. How we can break this chain, what you can do, Elizabeth, from through your training, and then you helped me a lot in this space. Do you want to share how we can do these three special areas?
So now, first of all, thank you, Bismi, and thank you, Kamala. This is a great foundation, I must say, and it's very needed for at the moment. Though late, it's never late. But yes, number one, to answer your question, the intergenerational grip will be there if we do not recognize and move it out. And that's why we are into the Rockamer genetic behavior analysis. Any indulgence, the analysis will show. So when the mother is between 9.5 weeks to 17 and a half weeks, when the brain of the embryo is being developed, whatever she's going through is the behavior of the unborn baby. Now, if the pregnancy happened under the influence of any of the substances, it will show in the child's fingerprint. So if the mother can be, through the analysis which we are doing here in Dubai, which we are trained by the research houses, then if she's between 9.5 weeks to 17.5 weeks pregnant, she's pregnant during that time, then we can work with the mother during that time to avoid the influence from affecting the embryo in a greater way. However, I say, since it's already happening in societies, every child and every adult needs to understand the science especially before marriage, so that they don't pass it to the next generation. And if they are already married and having children, then they need to come into the science and understand what exactly they passed on to their kids. And the kids are also can be, we do from 6 years onwards, but as far as the science is concerned, from 2 years, from the time the child opens the hand, the fingerprint can be done. So it's a recognizable behavior which can be intervened with food. It's the food. The bacteria needs to be changed. Okay, if the bacteria is changed, which takes about 6 months. So when the mother is feeding the baby, we can actually work on it from that time. And so whatever we are seeing in preschool and in school, this part is not addressed. And that's what we address in from 6 years to 70 years, 70. And this is where we have seen the consistency and change happen in the minds of children and adults, because if the behavior is not trained, the skills cannot be maximized. And where does the behavior come from? The mother's line or the father's line. So when we say 80-20, that means mother 80%, the mother seven generations. So mother's mother, mother's grandmother, everyone has contributed to the mother's behavior. So it's important. And even the father, today's reports are also showing 70-30. That means father 70, mother 30. But in all cases, if we hit the food, then we are working with the bacteria against, we are deleting the bacteria that's not needed, and we are encouraging the bacteria that's needed. And this itself is a huge emotional balance that comes in, because the nervous system neuroplasticity takes place. Ignoring this is not going to be ignored, because it will come out one day or the other. I have a learner with us who was the mother of one of our students. She passed away. So she passed away because she kept quiet for 20 years. She would meet all the family every week, etc., smile, but underneath what was happening was horror. And she just passed away, but the boy is doing very well. So, you kill yourself if you're not conscious of your surroundings. And why do that? We all have a purpose we are born with. So jump out of the game and go ahead with your purpose. You need to jump out. There's no other way. There is no sympathy. He may be your husband. He may be your partner. But either you jump out or you face the consequences on yourself and your family.
Thank you.
When I met Bismi, it was a different story. And it was introduced by one of my students. And so when I heard all this, I had to go through the process slowly with Bismi. She's still my student, by the way. So I had to first go through the process and take her out and bring faith in herself. That was the first thing. First, I'm an aviator and I'm from the aviation industry and I'm a journalist and I'm a Royal Protocol. But in aviation, we always rescue first. Until today, I'm doing rescue. So we are a conscious training center in Dubai, and the chairman is from UAE, and he believed that the skills are not the CV way of doing skills is not right. He just believes that, and so he wanted a behavior science subject that we have to work on and bring it out and make it official to our students. And therefore, he searched into the science, and today we train the science to children and adults. So the child report or adult report will say your inborn state within your mother, how it was. And if you delay it, we're actually making the neurons tighter. Neuroplasticity is getting tighter. It is difficult to reject it. But the easiest way of rejecting it and making the neuroplasticity change is by tackling the food, because when we do the genetic behavior analysis by fingerprint and each finger is taken and with the print is taken, we will see what happened in the first month, second month, during the pregnancy, whatever happened, even how the mother traveled, it will show us. Where were the jerks in her life? Did she fall from the steps? What medicines did she take? What food did she take? So if you come from a background that's violence, let me tell you, your food will not be digested properly, and the unborn baby is actually having this food that is not digested well, and therefore he will not have the right nutrition, he or she, during the pregnancy. So the mother's care is important. It is the care of the mother, her food, her environment that matters. But if mothers do not know that, if fathers do not know that, and they feel that the four walls are safe, it's not safe. What do we see around the world today? Isn't it a behavior issue? Yes, you can go up the ladder, but if you have a behavior issue, you will be always fighting it out. So we need to deal with that behavior. And the page 17 of the report actually says, where's your anger level? Where's your depression level? Where is your deep bitterness? And this is what we work on first so that the skills show up. So you may be very skilled. Today's world likes all the IQ in, but let me tell you, without your IQ is useless because you don't have the emotional quotient to bring your skills to the table. All right, so for Bismi, because she was a distant learner and I have not seen her on ground till date, she's planning to come in, I had to work from a different angle called the Power of You series. And then communication. If you can't talk it out, if you always feel stuck, there's a lot of anxiety that's working with you. So I need to work on your anxiety first. And what is it that, why is it that we can't, people can smile it off? They think the world do not know what they're going through. Let me tell you, if you can't speak, your anxiety is blocking your voice. And if you don't have a voice, then you have nothing in this world. Your voice is important. So for that voice, you have to start killing those anxieties. There are many ways we train. Even online, we train on how to be conscious of it and how to delete it out of your system. But yeah, if you're coming into Dubai, then we are here for the Rockamer genetic behavior analysis. Very soon, their websites will be on the, since they are training, scientific training house. They're very conscious of what they put out there, but they're now getting ready to put it out there so that the students and the trainers get easy access. But from 6 years of such training, I can say behavior is not only transformed, but small children as small as 12. I have a fashion designer at 12. I have a young writer at 14 because their parents felt it's necessary to showcase these things. And I have fashion designers who have come in to work with our little children or with our adults. I myself write on these subjects in the Metro Woman magazine, where I'm a columnist and a writer. And then a very simple science which I learned now and I'm practicing is the sound frequency. So all these dramas that you went through, different sound frequencies can clear the cells and the nervous system. So this is also, there are lots of sciences out there. A simple practice as going out into the garden, walking on the grass without footwear, standing against the tree with your spinal cord on it, hugging the tree can take off all the crap that you've been going through also. Spending time in the sea, spending time in the outside is very important because we can't be doing what we're doing now, which is a lot of electromagnetic energy we are living in, which is again killing us. So when I say people go to gyms and they take all this fitness food, from packets, etc., then why do they die early? Because electromagnetic is also the gym. So after you go into the gym, go on grass and walk on grass without footwear. So we have a lot of shortcuts. It's not going to give us life. I know one of my publisher's husband. I mean, he was a medical doctor, but he passed away in the gym. So don't go there where you want to stress your nervous system and say, no, I can just get it out in the gym. No, it won't go like that. Your
Everyone
gym
wants
is not
the
the answer.
shortcut, right? Yes.
Yeah, that's the shortcut.
Yeah.
Don't go there. Gym is
Mm.
not the answer to de-stress you. You better de-stress yourself.
Yeah,
Get all
correct.
the natural ways and de-stress yourself. Your nervous system has a limit.
Mm.
You can't take the family's responsibility as you desire, and because everybody's looking at you, you can't do that. What
Yeah,
is
I think
what is
I think
multiple
that's what,
sclerosis?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's our in generation taught us, because we
Yes.
were thinking that we need to suffer everything because it's part of your family,
Don't do that.
supporting your
Don't.
family. Yeah. So
That's
I
that's the
will come
biggest
back
mistake.
to our one because I'm conscious on time, and then maybe Elizabeth, I want you to stay and then give some answers at the end. We will go to the question answer around 8:30. But just before going to the aging one, Komal, I just want to wrap it up because I know that I had to cut Elizabeth. But the point that my audience want to listen from our previous slide, Komala, can you go back to the
Yeah, going
previous
back.
slide?
Uh,
Um, Going back is, yeah, going to the, yeah. So these three things, that why I wanted Elizabeth here and talk about it is like, without her help, and I know that Devi is from my close circle, and then Tinsy is my neighbor back in India, and she may not know any of these things. And then people who are seeing me now, they think that, oh, how Bismi is doing, why she is not going back to husband. Everyone thinking that, oh, you are happy, you can forgive everyone. Why you being very active at the church? Why you are not going back? There are lots of questions which is really painful that I'm hearing. And the reason that is not happening is like what she mentioned, is that I need to break this chain, because this chain is coming from generation. My grandma was like this, my mom suffered, that's why I got it. Now I'm suffering with my husband. I'm actually making my kids into the same circle, so I'm actually breaking the chain, and I'm actually making a legacy for my kids, because I'm type 2 diabetes. It's coming from my mom, and because of my hard earned stress, because of
Yes.
my single parenting. And as a diabetes educator, Kamala told me that you are at high risk, Bismi, because you have high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and you have this cerebral aneurysm, no sleep. Your tummy is bloated, and everything is that you are in high chance of high risk of organ failure. You didn't know that. I didn't know that there is underlying depression there, even though I'm smiling and doing 100 million things. So those health issues, and then cycle of violence, everything is there. That is a generational thing. And then you need to speak up, do something in your life to break that circle. That's what everyone has to take a decision. If you are hearing me today, what you are doing now to take your ownership of your health, your well being, is the best medicine that you can give to yourself, so that you can break this in the generational chain. Not only that, if you are growing, I'm 51 years old and I can see how much energy I have, but compared to last 2 years, I can see how much it's gone down. So I'm gonna get some advice from Komala, who is an NLP practitioner, who is a diabetes educator, who is a nurse, and who was heading the old age home during COVID time. For she was going through I would say that her trauma of like people dying instantly during the COVID time, even without going to palliative. But if you are going through this cycle of violence, where you end up in 10 years. And that's what I want you to share, Komala, and what
Thank you,
we can
Bismi.
do in this burden of aging.
Thank you, Bismi. Yes, working in aged care, and that was always my passion. As after I graduated, I chose aged care. Why? Because there's so much to learn from our elderlies, because there's so much experience and the trauma that they go through. It's not just women, it's also men. And men were the majority of as a concern, because they went through a lot of these kind of burden of aging, because they never identified themselves. They never could accept that they had underlying depression or some sort of trauma that they were going through, even that marriage that they had or any kind of workplace bullying. When they come in, one thing they say, I wish I looked after myself. I knew that self-care is really important. But they're in 90s and they're regretting, and they always advise young nurses, look after yourself. Make sure you do everything right to look after your health, because you don't want to regret later in your life. And it's part of all the trauma that they go through, either in a domestic violence space or even workspace, or maybe they were in that war zone, they've come from another country. So saying that chronic stress can shorten telomeres, leading to accelerate biological aging and early onset. And we have seen, when we have people come in with cognitive decline, majority of it is related to some of the other kind of trauma. Because one thing they remember when they don't remember everything that's happening day to day. They always remember the trauma they go through. It come back to them. They always say, "Oh, my mom used to hit me." Yes, we are hearing from a 90 years old male or a female coming into aged care and saying, "My mom used to hit me. She used to force me to dress up this way. They used to force me to go to school, do certain things." But that's all hidden, unseen. It's coming out when they're in late 90s and they've been diagnosed with the cognitive impairment or dementia in other ways. So all these things we just unsay it, because we don't hear often. We don't recognize how important it is, how good should be the aging life. What is that quality of life that you look at when you're aging? What is healthy aging? We don't talk about it. We talk about until you're 50, enjoy your life, go to clubs, have party, have 50th birthday, 40th birthday, enjoy whatever you can, buy a car, house, yes. But who is going to talk about healthy aging? We all going to age one day. Yes, sometimes incidents happen. We may not reach that age, but then when you reach, how do you want to be? Like, what's that you want to really achieve when you're at the 80s or 90s or even reaching 100? Do you want to be in bed for many years before you pass away? Do you want to regret your life? These are the things we need to really, I think it's more of building awareness is really important at this stage, because educating kids so that they can educate their parents, because kids are really good at telling parents what to do, because they learn so much at school. But then telling them, when it comes from a child, parents do take action. They do, oh yes, my child wants to look after they're advising me, do self-care, mom or dad. So it's really important education around burden of aging, because social isolation can be a huge risk, because people are isolate themselves as they're aging, because they don't want to go out, they don't have energy. But why is it happening? Because we don't have a community where they feel like we are inclusive, because they end up in aged care or a retirement village and they think, this is it, my family is busy, I don't have friends anymore, I just need to look after myself. And that's again a form of neglect and abuse. And we see this more and more in aged care when they come in, because families, they don't have time to visit, and they leave them there and they come once a year or twice a year just to wish them a birthday or come for Christmas. And this is a form of abuse. Again, the houses sold that they have built for many years and live there. That's financial abuse. There are many forms of abuses that our elderly go through. So it's all part of domestic violence. Violence is not just for somebody who is in a marriage or a relationship with a partner or without partner. There are different forms, and it happens across age. It happens until you die, because if you don't identify and recognize or get help or seek or ask, you will never be able to overcome that, and then you don't want to regret when you're in that deathbed. So that's something I really want to educate people under She Rise, because this is our focus. It's not about just an awareness for women how to come out of a relationship. It's more of, for every age, what is that you really want to achieve in every stage of your life. How can you do it in a healthier way? And
Yeah, I think that's the main area that I am looking at now, because I can see the difference in the body and the mind and the thinking when you pass each of your birthdays. And I can see people actually, like, enjoying that life with grace and dignity. I would say that they have done their life, maybe the hard life, but again, they have done some practice to do their health or like a self-care during their younger age. So I'm here, like, I know that we were talking almost for the 70 or 80 minutes now. There are many issues which is not seen, which is not described here. The gambling, the alcoholism, the drug abuse, raping, and doing all this co-parenting, social sexual violence, to not to the partners but to the kids. There are millions of abuses and issues are there under family violence, and which is hidden, and people are not really coming out of it or not reporting, just staying under that iceberg. But today we are actually picking up top 5 critical issues. And if you are listening to us and hearing us and thinking that, yes, these are some critical issues in any part of the world, we would love you to come together and do something, not in a big banner, not in a big bang voice or noise, but in your own capacity or in your own world, or maybe partnering with someone who is doing something good. Because if you are lighting a lamp to another person, you are bringing them into the life. So the top ones that always I would say is reporting issue. We are not reporting what is happening to us. And we know that it's not just a woman is making trouble. There are lots of women perpetrators. And I helped male victims from coming out of the family violence. And they are from Kerala. And it's not just from Kerala, not from India, around the world there are male victims. That means women who smiles like anything, dress up like anything, can be a very real bad perpetrators. And it is truth. But what we need to do is to report whatever happening. And if you think that the other person, other party, it can be in your family, in your community, and even in your workplace. If you see that there is something happening, nobody is talking about it, it is your responsibility to report it. And there are different ways of reporting it, and it is not a crime to report it. You can report it anonymously. And if you want to do the reporting, like you know this person and you know that this person is going through the tough time or is in real danger, they will ask for your identity. But there are different ways that you can do it, and there are different people that you can approach. And if you think that you do not know how to do it, please connect with us and we will help you. I'm actually putting those some of the links that I mentioned before for you so that you can have a look at it. It's in the chat. So that's the first one. So I want everyone who is hearing us or even through the recording, if you think that people are getting abused anywhere in your house, in your community, in your church, in your workplace, and in your society, just report it. you are not losing anything, but you are helping another person. The other one that we just shared between myself and Komala, it's that hidden health burdens. It can be psychological issue or physiological issue going into cancer. On Christmas Day, I got a letter from my bowel cancer result, because you will get a birthday present in Victoria. If you turn 50, you will have free mammogram, free bowel test, and all different things. So I did this test, and the result came on 24th of December, saying that my bowel cancer test result is positive and I need to see my doctor ASAP. And it's a Christmas holiday, and I can't really do until January 2nd. And the psychological stress that I had, it's not that I do have a cancer, I may die. My dad actually died because of lymphoma and the surgery mishap. That's what the first thing I came to my mind. I was thinking that 10 years ago, I had a brain surgery. That time, my kids couldn't even talk. And I had to give the will to look after my kids to my brother. No, I couldn't do that because I didn't have any brothers here. So I gave the will or the guardianship to one of my friends here. You can imagine your motherhood mindset that you sending three kids to someone, I know the family, but someone not in my blood relation, because I do not have anybody here. And the chance of my death was so high during that surgery. But when I heard this health problem in last December, I was not worried about my kids because my elder one is really an adult and I know that he will look after them. But again, that psychological stress that I had is that what will happen if I had to go through this chemo and all other follow-ups and putting the stomal, and then who will look after me? Who will drive me? Why I have to make my kids to look after me? That was my trauma. But again, by God's grace, the test, everything went well, and I'm not, you know, I'm not, I don't want to even say that word. I'm free from everything. I didn't have anything. My body is really good because I was going through the plans or the proper diet and things like that. But Elizabeth and even Komala is a vegetarian. They're forcing me to do that proper diet. So I would say if you feel that you have some hidden issues. You may think that it's a simple headache or it's a simple bloating or it's a simple shoulder pain. No, you may have these things coming up because of the stress through different things. So I really want you to think about this hidden health burden. And if you think or if you hear from other people who may going through the tough time, tell them this health is happening because of all the different issues that you're going through the trauma. The other one I mentioned a lot about my three boys. We call them triple J's, Julian, Jays, and Joe. They are the victims. You think that you're fighting and then you said sorry, it's done. But each and every moment that you are thinking and talking or acting in under this name of family violence, even though you are giving everything 100% okay to your kids, they are victims. They have unseen issues in them, or maybe it will come up later because Joel changed his face, or his face changed only during puberty. That time I was already settled and I didn't know what happened. That's an autoimmune condition can come up any time. But again, some kids or children will showcase that only when they go into their family, that when they start their marriage. And I can see, then remember that Elizabeth was telling that some people come to go to her before getting married and checking and clearing the things, all the baggage they were carrying through all different generation, because you can see that women are getting this type of liberty only from last 100 years. So all our generation, all our parents were going through that trauma, and they have that trauma carrying over to their genes. So you need to clear that out. But one thing that you can do if you have kids or if you're planning kids, and if you know that other parties having kids, just make sure that they are away from this. And then remember that they are the primary victim. There will be development and psychological and psychosocial issues with them. And that's why we can see many different people having autoimmune diseases and autisms and ADHD, you name it. So it's all because of the violence or unmet needs that they had while they were in their mom's womb or while they were as our children. So the next one is the digital addiction that I am very much worried about it. My elder one is actually the gatekeeper here, and then he had all these gadgets to control. But I know that the kids of this generation, Gen Zs, are so smart, smarter than anybody in the technology. And I will not say that they are great, they are smarter, but they do not know the value of older generation, the value of reading, the value of values, but they are smart at digital technologies. So if you are a parent or if you are a person that you know how to you know the people are there with kids, I would say pornography and gaming is a big disease for all ages. So make sure that if they are on the system, on the computer, there is some trauma associated with that. Don't say that they're always on machines. You are the reason. There is some trauma from you or from your parents. You need to fix it. And the last one, again, that's the main thing that I will open up for the questions is the intergenerational cycle. All these four things, the three things that I mentioned above, it's all because of that unseen grip tightening across the generations. Even if you migrate from India to Australia, Australia to UK, UK to any country, these future generations are there. So what we can do is to intervene or interventions. And that's what exactly the legal system in Australia doing, giving them an intervention order. It's not any mistake that system did. It's a protection that giving to you as a person, giving to your kids to come out of or that not going into that. So if you go to this critical issue, how we can help, Shirais can help in different ways. That's what we need to say that it's not a one-step solution. It's not a one dosage of tablet. It is a continuous education and continuous encouragement and continuous emerging from the addictions or the problem that you have. So that's why we're picking up this five main thing under Shirai's wing, because we can tell them how this different care, our practices happening there, what is the trauma behind it, why the Maram principles are connected to this safety and like in a survival mode. It's because they learned a lot and identified the trauma of the first generation, the trauma of the stolen generation, the trauma of the migrant generation. Everything is compounding here in Australia. And always Elizabeth used to say that this country got trauma of lots of blood from the day one, the blood of First Nations, where the colonization started, where the blood of all other people were fighting each other. So all those trauma is already there in the principalities of this country. It's already there. So you have to find out how you can come out of it with proper care. And do you want to share about this holistic health, Komla?
Yes, so it's really important that we identify how we can actually screen for family violence. It's not just a routine disease that you can do through a blood test or a CT scan or MRI is not going to show how you're going to scan if somebody is. It's a lot of, I think I would say, in the easiest way to understand the body language when somebody is having a communication with you, their hand gesture, how they stand or sit, how they approach the person. Communication is key because it says a lot of I think it gives you all that answers that you're looking for when you say if somebody is going through a domestic violence or any kind of family violence. And then I have seen men, especially, they don't want to, they try to make it look like everything is perfect in their life, doesn't matter what's going to, and then they want to be that man, that they don't want to cry, they don't want to express the emotions are suppressed. And they again teaching those boys, their children, oh, boys are not supposed to cry, they should be standing strong, girls can cry, they're allowed to cry. But then we women, we know how to get through things, we share with somebody, we tell what's happening, we can take a step ahead and say, okay, I'll go and seek some help. I need some advice. And in Bismi's case, that's what she's done. She's gone and asked for help. But then there are people who don't. And I'm again emphasizing men and boys because their emotions are very much suppressed because they've been told day one, you're a boy. You're not supposed to express how you feel. Even if you're sad, you don't tell anybody because they will judge you that you're weak, but they want to make it look like they're strong, and they want to make it look like they can handle anything under any condition, and which is not the reality. Unfortunately, they are the ones who suffer a lot at the later stage when they age. So that's something I really want to make sure we identify. How can we look at this primaries in a primary setting? How can we identify and actually help people around that family violence, screening them? And also community education in community is very important because, like when you don't educate people around all these things, where are we lacking? Like AI is taking over, everything is taking over, yes, but then where is the basic knowledge for people to actually live your life? Living is different, thriving is different, and then actually living for a life where you just work and feed yourself, that's not living. Everybody can, even animals can do that. They can go feed themselves. We can't be animals, we are humans for a reason, because we need to try and understand what's that gap. Where are we heading with the AI level of knowledge, and with all the kids understanding so much about everything at a younger age? What is that we can do? Because so many young as 8 or 9, they know everything about the human body. They know everything what's happening around the world. They can Google anything. They have access. We have access to the technology. But then are we giving the right knowledge and education? Are we building that right culture? What's going to happen in next 10, 20 years? What is that foundation we are actually trying to build here? So there are the things that really, really important that we identify as early as we can and integrate that in community, and target the interventions for children, especially around mental health. Because I would say again and again, what business boys have gone through, you don't want more and more kids going through the same pattern, because she wants to break a cycle, but it starts from her kids as well. Because they can talk to others how they feel, because it always starts from your family. So we need to encourage kids to speak up. They need to be given a safe space where they can actually feel free, like telling mom or dad how they feel about school or their sports or their actual life. What is that that's causing them to not, they don't sleep well, they wake up cranky, and we just think, oh, he's just a cranky child, just tantrums. We just straight away jump into conclusion saying, oh yeah, just having a bad morning. But why? One day is fine having a bad morning. The child can't have a bad morning every single day. As simple as that. So we need to really identify little things. What's happening with the intake of food? What nutritional level are they getting? What is that lacking in their every day-to-day daily nutrition? Everything matters. The sleep, food, exercise, activity, how much screen time they have. So we really need to focus on these things to have a better future generation where they actually have that health that's better for a life, because it's no life is better without having a healthy lifestyle, because it's very, very important. Quality of life really matters, and that's something we do under She Rise. And I stop there and we take over from here
No,
Bismi,
I
I
love
think.
that you mentioned about the AI. Look at the AI gave to us. So that's why I thought I will add something with AI as well. But it
The
uses in the
last one.
now, if you put that image, yeah.
Yeah, just trying
Yeah,
to do
that
that.
one. Yeah. I just
Yeah.
want to share that this is what we doing in She Rise. Like, we have that three major goals: emerging, empowering, and educating. And that's what She Rise Foundation is doing. And then why we are actually voicing it up and respecting people and allow people to tell that they need respect. And then we want that justice here. It's not just for the woman, for man and any younger generation. And we are actually providing an opportunity as a next level. So once we have that respect and voice, we will get opportunity and the equity and community will come up with that. And that's what the brighter future. And that's what we are looking forward to do through the systematic changes, changing the lives. And we are making collective actions and creating lasting change because I want to break this cycle. I don't want anybody to live a single parenting lifestyle. I don't want anybody here that they excluded from their church, excluded from their social community, excluded from the programs and excluded from any other activities only because that you are a single mother, only because you are the first one came out of the community and excluding from your parental ancestral whatever that things that you will get because my kids are not having anything from mother's side or father's side. I told them the only thing that you have is you, that spirit that you have, but you can emerge, you can empower, and you can educate. You have a heart and you have a mission, and you need to show the other people that you have a better future. That's my own challenge, and that's where I actually partnered with Komala to do that same thing, not for my only for my kids, but for other people who are actually struggling through that. That's what we are. I'm hearing, like, it's 10 minutes late, but I'm opening up to the whole area, the whole team to bring the questions because this is the time that we need to bring this unseen trauma, whatever the abuse is coming up into the light. I got help from Elizabeth and she got amazing way to bring it out. I am getting coached or like supported by my wonderful partner Komala, and I'm getting different friendship and different communication and collaboration. So I would love to get your questions if you are there, muted. If not, I have some questions to Elizabeth, but I will wait for the audience to share or put it in the chat if we have any questions or unmute and then talk it out. Your voice is the most powerful tool. All right, so maybe I will ask
I think
Elizabeth.
Sandy has unmuted herself. Maybe we ask
Okay,
Sandy.
hi Santi.
Hi, Bismi. Thanks for organizing this one and all the trouble taken. I think it was very helpful, although I missed a fair bit. I have a couple of questions, but I'm just trying to find a quiet spot because I've got children around. And now you mentioned about the test and all that, but I just don't know where to start, really. Because there's a lot of impact. I've gone through years of family violence, but I stayed in a marriage because I was told that God wants what once married is married. You can't divide it. And I've mostly gone for counseling to priests because whenever I went outside, and they said no, you can just separate and go your ways. But I was like told no, it's happened to your mother, it's happened to your grandmother. Now it's happening to you. It's a spiritual force that's attacking a generational curse. So, and, spend some time in prayer, do this thing. Maybe you're there put in a place for saving your husband and the family. And I stayed and stayed and stayed till it really broke me down. With my second child, which I had after 9 years gap, I just was losing weight to 41 or 42 kilos I became. So my maternal child health nurse picked it up and she says, you're losing weight. What's happening? And being alone in the country without any family to support, I really know that there is no support here, especially when you're going through family violence. There's a lot of organizations, but being on your own, you have to learn to keep yourself safe, what to talk, what not to do, because whatever you do, you don't have anyone else to help you with your children. And being a victim survivor, I even went to the police station with my daughter because I had to run because my daughter and me were getting attacked, and there was no support from the police. So I felt so much of injustice and so much of hurt and pain because they just kept saying, we can't kick the man out of the house. We can't kick. And I said to him, because the son was badly coached and the police couldn't understand the extent of family violence. They just kept saying, oh no, the son said has complained against you. You got there's a child protection thing. We are hearing you, but we can't put the man out of the house. So to date, I have spent more than 150,000 just to fight for my own intervention order. And I think there's so much of injustice and there's so much of flaws in the system, which is out there to say it's protecting women and children, but it's not.
Yeah, I totally agree, Sandy. And then I agree that the system has lots of issues. And I was, I don't want to name the people, but the people who we helped, we can see that how much injustice are they doing, even the child protection. Hear you, and that's one of the other reason that why we are raising the voice, because nobody, there is some class actions starting to protect us, because all these people are really getting bullied by police. That's what I would say, because some police are like, if they are personally good, they will help, but otherwise the system is really polluted. And we need to do something in a big way, and then we are actually collaborating with the different people. I can talk to you about that, Sandy, offline. But the question about Elizabeth, and that's what I'm interested and keen. Elizabeth, Sandy is from Victoria, and I don't think that she can travel either. But could you share what can she do to, okay, the financial struggle that she is having is a separate big story that you can't really help, but with her life and her kids, how she can survive to fight for this injustice.
Yeah, so I would say, Sandy, I totally hear you, and I know what it means to be broken, but I also say I want you to take these words very seriously. You can come online for certain consultation with me and tell me what it is, and I'll just give you some practices to do for your presence of mind. What happens, Sandy, when we are going through something, the presence of mind is not there, then we have lost it actually. So first, we have to keep our presence of mind intact, and for that, I can talk to you what needs to be done. And as your presence of mind comes into focus, Bismi and team will be able to work out the other things. But first, we need your presence of mind, your acceptance that I can do it. And this is where most men and women, I say both because I handle both, lose it. In fact,
So do you
men,
mean
when
to
they're
say
going to
therapeutic
solve,
counseling, or is it like psychological counseling, or what? Because I'm not sure what you're talking about.
It is not counseling. It is not psychological. It's that's what I said.
the
She's
training.
handling it in a different ways. Yeah,
Okay.
So
she's not a
it's
counselor.
training.
No.
Yeah, I'm not a counselor. It's training. So I'll give you certain things to practice, and you will come back in the next class to say what exactly did you do and how did it feel by doing it? When you feel lighter in your own self, then you're in control of the world. There is always an answer, Sandy. Always. You see, you're here on this table and you had no idea that I would be on this table as well. So a platform comes to us for help. So you can talk and I can talk as well, but we can have an individual session offline. And you can talk to me just what you want, and I will give you the answer according to what should move. The most important thing, Sandy, if we are not convinced from our own self, our mind will not move. So first, our inner being has to say, I can do it. See, first, when I took Bismi's classes, I told so many things, but today Bismi is doing all that because today she has the presence of mind to do it. So we can learn a lot. I don't want to teach a lot. I want to teach you steps which you can do and then come out of it. So it's not, nothing is easy. Let's be frank. From my world of aviation to Royal Protocol, I've seen a lot. I was not placed on a seat and I climbed any ladder. I did not climb the ladder. I was kept on top of the ladder and still I am there. Now, I too know what it means for a woman to be on the top of the ladder. So it is not easy, personal life, and even, are you working, Sandy?
I am working part-time,
Yeah.
but I've just
Yeah,
taken
so
my
that
long
is the
service
thing.
leave because my
I need,
husband is trying to access it.
yeah, so that is the thing. You're working, you need presence of mind. When you're for the home, you need presence of mind. When we're not going to ignore the situation, but how can I come out of this safely and peacefully without hurting my body and my being? There are many ways that I would be training. Whatever is acceptable to you is what I would go by. But I would know, even though it's online, I will know your energy every time. I would know it. What's going on, what's not going on. And you just have to keep up the classes so that I can just see where you're going and I can cut the plans if it's not working the way I want through the course to another way of doing it. That's why I went into many studies because not everybody accepts certain ways. What do you do? Like, so when you come into a consultation, I'll have a questionnaire and then from there we take it. But yes, I'm very grateful that you came out and you actually are on this platform to say that you need help. Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
not just for
Sandy,
me,
I
it's
will
also
I
for
will
my
share.
children too. Yeah, it's for
I
my
will
children
share the
too.
details, and yeah, Komala, as far I was saying, Komala's sister was there in the last session, and then we are actually providing a complimentary session. So that is really, I've been like, I was going through my first classes. It's my fifth year with Elizabeth, and I have lots to do, lots to learn. So it is not at all a waste of time, and I will highly encourage you to connect, Sandy. I will give you the details right after the session.
Thank you.
And yeah, I will be sending you the recording as well. I know that you missed the initial part of it, so don't worry about that. Anybody got any other questions? We got 7 more minutes to go.
Thanks, Bismi and Komla, for arranging this call. So the topic, then when you shared it sounded interesting. So just joined. I would like to, I hope it was interesting, and I was interested to know what is like the discussion going on. So some of these that you share, like what all you have seen and worked on, it really matters. So in each other's life, like I moved from India, then to US, then now in Australia. So it's a total a journey, like all together as a family we've been go through, and yeah, it was something like an isolation we felt. And then COVID also had a lot of impacts in our lives. And then, yeah, now I'm just going for happiness. So take care of your health, your mental health, make friends, real friends. So with me in Komla, I found like something real. So I work with Bismi also in one of the charities. And yeah, she's an interesting character and she's something real I felt. So Yeah, I would like to join like more anything coming up, and I would like to share in this group that like don't listen to anyone. Like we are grown up and we big people, so just see what makes you happy. Choose it. You don't have to think like what is right or wrong or what is socially what is people thinking about you, what will family say. Nothing like that. It depends on you. You are as an individual. You have to decide what makes you happy. There is nothing
Mm.
wrong or nothing right. You will die after some years, or you will get dementia in the old age, as Kamala shared. So there is nothing wrong or right. So it's your decision. What makes you happy, go for it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Edwina.
Amazing. Amazing to hear that, Edwina. And I love that interesting character. Yeah, sometimes I feel that I'm a bit crazy, but there are reasons. I would say that it's generational as well. Yeah, my dad used to be crazy. But thank you, Edwina. I just want to share for the whole group. Edwina is running in Victoria, so she is actually from my place where I do live now. She's running badminton. She is a national winner back in Kerala and now running badminton. And then she Rise collaborated with Edwina's badminton club, and then we are providing women badminton. So it's a health is wealth, and then I love the energy that Edwina is bringing to the to the group. So thank you, Edwina, for collaborating and then doing wonderful things that you're doing. And then she is actually like helping for palliative care people as well back in India. So that different core values are connecting with her values as well. That's why we are collaborating. Yes, and good things to come. That's
You
what
have
we are
questions
expecting.
there?
Any
Bismi, are
more
you gonna ask
questions?
questions? Yeah.
Any more questions? If not, I'm just utilizing that 4 minutes from Elizabeth because I don't get time from her soon. So
Yeah.
just one question, Elizabeth. Yeah, I know that I'm coming out and I'm doing different things, but sometimes, and especially today, when I was thinking about this session, sharing my story is always healing for me, but at the same time, some trauma used to come. Today is my mother-in-law's death anniversary, and then I was thinking about all different things that happened that time. So my question is that I know that if you go through different stages, you may forgive, forget, and everything. But what can we do to, continuously come out of that trauma day-to-day basis? Is it like any? And I would always ask any food that I should use, or any drink, or any music, or any other activities,
Oh,
please.
yeah. So thank you, Bismi, again. So actually, today there is, I went into, because of the science of Rockamer genetic behavior analysis, where I see all the reports with the skills and the other side. It's a 28-page report. So it's not easy sometimes to talk everything to the client in front, whether it is the parents of the child or the adults itself. So I use certain frequencies in the background before I start talking. Now, what is sound frequency? Sound frequency knows how to get into the cells and get them back to their original state. And I actually finished studying this from a medical doctor in UK, and she uses this for cancer. So you understand, when Komala was saying about people and cognition decline, etc., I totally agree with it. My son is a percussionist, and he trains in percussion in 3 training centers in India. And his thought to me is that unless you play an instrument, your cognition will not go up. It will not scale up. So again, we are talking about sound. Similarly, if you don't like your voice, you're not going to get heard because you decided, I don't like my voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are some of the things we put into our own system because somewhere along the line, someone asked us to keep quiet. I have a student who's a very senior student today, but he trains my little students. when he came to class when he was 18, today he's 23. When he came to class when he was 18, his father just dropped him in my class and said, just handle it because I don't know what this is. Okay. I never understood anything. And I actually told God, I'm not the doctor. My mom is the doctor. But I got an idea at that time to just tell him to write, who are you? And I left the classroom. I went to get my coffee because I knew it's going to take time. So it's an 18-year-old. He's put his headphones and come for class. So when I reached back, I only saw tears rolling down his eyes. And then he wrote, my mom said to me at the age of 3 to keep quiet. So I kept quiet. So he kept quiet till 18. Now, they never understood what's happening in school. He never got college admission, and the father just dropped it. A big family, great engineers, and mother is a medical doctor as well. But she never knew what to do. It was her words, keep quiet. So as parents, as conscious beings, we need to just watch a situation and see how we can do it kindly. One thing I learned from my upbringing, I was not born in India. I was born in Kuwait, though I'm Indian only by passport. Till today, I can say that. And I saw in my upbringing where I was raised by the national family, then my parents were there, but I was also raised by the royal family of Kuwait. They never jumped at me or talked loudly at me. No. They would watch from far. And everything they would say like a story. Now, this we don't have in the Indian culture or and the subcontinent culture. We don't have it. The Koreans have it, the Chinese have it, but we don't have it. Okay, and we are raised. How much money do you want? How much money can we make? This is always talked between parents.
Yeah.
They don't see, oh, how was school today? Did you like what I gave you for breakfast? Did you eat? What did your friends say? These kind of conversations don't happen.
Never happen. Yeah.
So these must start every day. There should be these conversations. Switch off the TV and start talking. Even on the dining table, they're busy with their mobiles. Sorry. Now, doing all that, what happens? We say, and the time span is just 2 minutes. They'll just listen to me. No, what are we doing? You're killing your own energies. And that is creating cognitive decline. That is creating it. We are electromagnetic. We are always in electromagnetic. We don't go out. We don't enjoy what's given around us. Sun and sea and sand is very important for our life. So why did God create all this when we are so indifferent to what comes to us daily? The sun rises daily. The grasses, why do we have all these workers getting beautiful gardens and parks done? What are they wasting their time and life for?
Yeah.
Now in Dubai, there is a forest. You can walk through the forest and get healed. So is that only for books and movies? Make this part of your daily life. Okay?
Yeah.
Forget. In a way, it will give you the strength to go through what you're going through and an answer to it also.
Yeah. That's
And this
great.
is
I'm
where,
actually, conscious of time. I know that we will be finishing at 9, but I just want to give a couple of minutes to Elizabeth to finalize that wonderful action for us to take away. Okay.
so
Over to you.
I would just say that have a daily ritual for yourself. Just as you like to drink coffee, when I like to drink coffee, but I have something called warm water with lemon first to open my liver in the morning. So have a daily ritual. Go out for a walk. Today is Sunday. So first I went out for a walk at 6:30 in the morning and I went somewhere and had a breakfast. Then came home and relaxed and slept. Then again went out and did my whatever I wanted to do. Relax. Push back.
Mm.
Keep silence. Silence is important. This brain cannot be overworked. Your mother put a limit in it. Your dad put a limit in it. Now you want to work a little more, then practice it step by step. My brother who came out of coma said, no, we can't handle everybody's responsibility. When I asked him, how did you come out of this coma? And he's too good today. He said his doctor said, just repeat what I'm asking you to do. And I asked him, how did he go into coma? He said, I wanted to save my other brother. One of my siblings kept taking money from here and there. He wanted to save him from that. So he kept paying for everyone. Don't do that. How you were created in the womb of your mother is your nervous system. So if you haven't taken care of it, you first take care of yourself.
Yep.
Every mother, every father must take care of themselves. I have oil engineers in my class just to understand how do we keep the stress out? I have teachers in my class who are MS and who want to just know how does the MS leave. MS means you have worked overtime on your nervous system.
Yeah.
So don't do that. Thank you. This amygdala needs a break.
Break. That's great. So I think I will, stop there because I respect your time, everybody. I know that you are here, but in my future sessions, I think, you may have seen in our previous session, Elizabeth did couple of sessions by herself. And there are lots of nuggets that she used to share in her conversation. But today I pick up 3 things. Do not think for other people like his brother who was coming out of the coma. Just do think something that repeating, that start your drinking, not just the coffee, but something that helping your liver. And then do that walking, make sun as your friend. And then connect with us, and then you will hear more from Elizabeth and from us and some other wonderful speakers in our next series. So we are having every month one online session and one in-person free sessions on different topics to empower you, emerging you, and educate you. So thank you so much for everyone for joining today, for sharing and then hearing what we were talking. We are actually bringing this unseen into the light. That's why we invite your questions, if you have any more, through the email, your reflections, and if you have any experiences, because your voice is the most powerful tool in breaking the unseen grip. So if you felt like, you got some trauma triggered during the conversation, I'd love you to connect with the safe steps or respect or no to violence, or call us, either of us, and we are happy to have a conversation. And I'll be sharing Elizabeth's contact details to everyone, not just to Sandy. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you. Thank you
we
all.
will
Thank you,
talk to
Elizabeth.
you.
Thank you, Edwina
Thank
and
you.
Sandy, for sharing. It really matters. We're really grateful that we have you on our platform to share and really rise women and rise each human being, I would say, because it's really important.
Together, we rise by bringing the unseen into the light. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bismi. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
Kamala
you,
and
Devi.
Elizabeth. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Devi.
you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.